Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive, where we take fascinating sources, pull out the most important nuggets, and really help you cut through the noise to get truly well-informed.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're diving into something that, on the surface might seem ancient, maybe purely historical, but I promise you, it holds profound, even surprising modern relevance for your daily life.
Yeah, definitely.
Our focus is Chapter 7 of Navid Sadooly's compelling book, The Miracles of Jesus Touching Heaven in Everyday Life. And this isn't just a recounting of past events. This chapter, it really invites us to look beyond those familiar narratives
Right.
and discover a living, breathing message for your life today, right now, in the midst of your daily grind. Sadooly encourages us to see these stories not as distant relics, but as active invitations to experience something profound.
Indeed. And what's fascinating here, I think, is how Sadooli really redefines these traditional stories. He makes it very clear that these aren't merely tales from antiquity, confined to dusty scrolls or historical footnotes.
Right, not just history lessons.
Exactly. Instead, they're presented as a window, as he puts it, into the living and loving presence of God in the details of our lives. Right now.
Wow, right now. That's key.
It is. It's a powerful reframing, isn't it?
Get
It shifts our perspective from just being an observer to, well, maybe a potential participant.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission in this deep dive is to explore how these ancient narratives illuminate a path for you to recognize what Sadooli calls a touch of heaven in your everyday existence.
Touch of heaven. I like that framing.
Yeah. We'll be tracing his argument, seeing how he bridges the gap between these seemingly extraordinary events and the often mundane realities we all navigate.
Okay.
And the overarching question the chapter ultimately poses, and one we'll definitely encourage you to ponder, is how we can seek and recognize that enduring presence in our own lives. It's a concept we'll delve into fully as we journey through these insights today.
So let's get right into it then, because one of the very first points Sadooli emphasizes, it really challenges a widespread, often unspoken perception.
What's that?
Well, many of us, consciously or subconsciously, we kind of envision God as this distant observer, maybe seated on some grand heavenly throne, watching the world unfold, but not necessarily intervening directly.
Right, like he set things in motion and now just watches.
Exactly. Not getting involved in the nitty-gritty, sometimes messy details of our daily lives. We might believe in a benevolent overarching plan, maybe, but question the hands-on involvement.
Sure, that's a common view.
But Sadooli directly confronts that idea. He suggests it's a fundamental misunderstanding of the divine. He asks us to consider Jesus' immediate, tangible, hands-on involvement in human suffering and need.
Okay.
He wasn't just observing, he was engaging directly, physically, emotionally.
So really in it.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, if this is truly the case, what does it mean for you if God isn't just up there in some abstract theological realm, but genuinely invested in the down here, in the tangible realities of your life, your job, your relationships, your health, your anxieties. It's a perspective that, if you fully embrace it, it kind of completely shifts your understanding of divine presence.
It really does. And that active, tangible engagement you just described, it's powerfully illustrated in one of the most well-known miracles, the feeding of the 5,000.
Yes, a classic.
Right. Sadooli dedicates considerable attention to this. The Gospels, particularly Matthew, they paint such a vivid picture. Jesus and his disciples are in this remote desert place. A massive crowd, numbering 5,000 men plus women and children, has followed him, listening to his teachings for hours. It's getting late.
Right, supplies must be running low, or non-existent out there.
Exactly. As evening approaches, the disciples, ever practical, they suggest sending the crowds away to buy food in the villages.
It makes sense, logistically.
It does. But Jesus, seeing their need, he challenges them. You give them something to eat.
Whoa. Okay, that's a big ask.
A huge ask. And what do they have? A paltry 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish.
Practically nothing for that many people.
Right. A truly meager offering for such a multitude. It's a classic scenario, isn't it? Overwhelming need met with utterly insufficient resources.
Yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to that feeling in different ways.
Definitely. And Sadooli's insight here is absolutely crucial. He argues this wasn't merely a magic trick, a spontaneous display of raw, inexplicable power without deeper purpose.
Okay, so more than just poof, food appears.
Much more. He sees it as a profound, multi-layered lesson. Firstly, it taught about resourcefulness. seeing divine potential in what seems insignificant, like those few loaves and fish.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, it revealed God's priority for tangible, even physical human needs.
Mm-hmm.
Hunger is real.
Right, not just abstract spiritual needs.
Precisely. And thirdly, it demonstrated the principle of multiplication through faith.
Sadooli suggests that when we offer even our meager resources, that which is little, as the text puts it, with genuine faith,
Okay.
and a willingness to surrender it to a higher purpose, God can miraculously expand and multiply them beyond anything we could imagine. So it's about offering what we do have, even if it feels totally inadequate.
Exactly. And this isn't just about food in ancient Palestine. Sadooli stresses it's a universal principle. Think about your own talents, maybe skills you feel are underdeveloped.
Or time. I never feel like I have enough time.
Right. Or the time you feel you barely have, your emotional energy after a draining week, or even your problems, which might seem insurmountable and overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Sadooli argues that in each of these areas, offering your 5 loaves and 2 fish, however small they seem to you, becomes the catalyst for divine intervention, the starting point.
That's a very different way of looking at limitations.
It is. To illustrate this further, maybe consider a project you're working on right now, perhaps at work or in your community, where you feel completely limited by resources.
Yeah.
You might be looking at a deadline, a budget, or a skills gap, and thinking, I only have these 5 loaves of skills or these 2 fish of connections. It's simply not enough.
Yeah, that feeling of scarcity.
Or maybe it's more personal. Perhaps you're facing a deeply personal challenge, a relationship struggle, a health issue, a financial crunch, where you feel you have little left to give emotionally or physically. Just drained.
Mm-hmm. Been there.
Sadooli's perspective invites you to consider how offering even that seemingly insignificant amount, but with genuine faith and intent, could lead to an unexpected exponential multiplication.
So it's not about having it all together before you offer it.
Not at all. It might impact not just you, but those around you, too. It fundamentally changes your entire approach, doesn't it? Transforming that feeling of scarcity and despair into one of possibility and profound hope.
Yeah, it really does.
It challenges the conventional wisdom that says you need to have enough before you can do enough. Sadooli flips that.
That's a powerful reframing because it shifts the focus from our perceived limitations to the potential of, well, divine engagement. And what I find particularly striking in Sadooli's analysis of this miracle is his emphasis on God's attention to tangible needs. You touched on it, but, we often spiritualize everything, believing God is primarily concerned with our abstract spiritual state, our souls. But here, Jesus saw physical hunger.
A very real bodily need.
Exactly. And he responded directly to it. So, expert, what are the implications when Sadooli highlights this direct response to the physical and the practical? How does that challenge maybe our modern ways of thinking about faith?
Oh, it's a critical distinction, and Sadooli really drives it home. He emphasizes that God responds to real physical and tangible needs, not just abstract spiritual or existential ones.
Okay.
The hunger of the crowd was a very real, immediate bodily need, and Jesus addressed it with practical physical provision, bread and fish.
Mhm.
This carries significant implications for you, the listener, because it broadens the scope of God's active presence. It signifies his involvement in the earthly realities of your life,
Meaning?
meaning your career path, your physical health, the dynamics within your family, your financial stability, your daily struggles, and even your small joys, the stuff of everyday life.
So God cares about my job search, or my kid's fever, or the rent payment.
According to Sadooli's interpretation here, absolutely. It means God is not just reserved for Sunday mornings or moments of deep spiritual contemplation or for abstract theological debates.
Right.
His presence is embedded in the very fabric of your weekday existence, in the practical challenges you face and the everyday decisions you make.
That challenges the whole sacred-secular divide some people draw.
It absolutely does. It challenges the notion that faith is only for the spiritual parts of our lives, or that God is only interested in our souls while leaving our practical problems entirely up to us.
Okay.
Sadooli argues that this holistic concern reveals a God who is deeply concerned with our entire well-being, physical, emotional, spiritual, the whole package.
Wow.
And this brings us beautifully, actually, to a very interesting discussion point that Sadooli profoundly emphasizes throughout the chapter, the concept of faith itself.
Exactly. That connection between God's active, tangible engagement in our everyday lives, addressing both spiritual and physical needs, it leads us perfectly into the second major theme Sadooli explores, the critical role of faith.
Yeah.
You mentioned it earlier, and Sadooli truly unpacks it. He makes it clear that it's not about the amount of faith you have or how grandly you display it.
Right, not about volume.
No,
Hmm.
but rather its quality, its sincerity, and purity. It's a subtle but profound distinction, isn't it?
It really is.
And it really resonates when you look at the stories, particularly one woman's desperate act.
Oh, yes. It's an absolutely pivotal point in Sadooli's analysis, and he illustrates it masterfully through the story of the woman with the hemorrhage, which is detailed in both Matthew and Mark's Gospels.
Such a powerful story.
Incredible. This is a woman who had suffered for 12 long, agonizing years with a debilitating blood disorder. Imagine the sheer physical discomfort, the constant bleeding, the chronic weakness, just physically exhausting.
Unimaginable.
But Sadooli points out it wasn't just physical. Under the Mosaic law at the time, her condition rendered her ritually unclean.
Right. That adds another layer entirely.
A huge layer. This wasn't a minor inconvenience. It meant she was socially ostracized, unable to participate in community or religious life. She was basically an outcast.
So, physical suffering plus isolation.
Exactly. And she'd exhausted all her financial resources seeking a cure from doctors, only to grow worse, not better. Her situation was one of absolute desperation. Physical suffering compounded by social and spiritual isolation.
Just complete rock bottom.
Pretty much. And her act of faith, as Sadooli explains it, wasn't some public declaration or a bold verbal request shouted over the crowd.
No, it was quiet, wasn't it?
Very quiet. It was an internal conviction, almost whispered within herself, born of profound desperation and this unshakable belief. If I only touch his cloak, I will be healed.
Just the cloak, not even Jesus himself, directly.
Just the edge, the hem of his garment. Imagine the bustling crowd around Jesus, the noise, the press of people, all vying for his attention. Yet her belief was so resolute, so singular, that she pushed through it all, not even daring to speak to him directly, simply aiming for that fringe on his robe. She believed that just a brush, an anonymous touch would be enough.
Wow.
Sadooli vividly describes this resolute, even hidden faith amidst the throng as acting like a direct, unobstructed channel for Jesus' healing power to flow.
A channel.
Yeah. It was an act of profound, undeniable trust, a quiet yet incredibly potent conviction.
That's fascinating because it really challenges our modern, often quite performative understanding of belief, doesn't it?
It really does.
We live in a world that often values loud, public demonstrations, bigger is better, but Sadooli seems to be suggesting something much more internal and subtle here. What's his deeper dive into the nature of this faith? Why is sincerity and purity more important than size or public display, especially for us today?
That's precisely where Sadooli offers a truly transformative insight. He insists, absolutely insists, that it wasn't about the size or public display of her faith.
Oh, okay.
She wasn't standing on a soapbox, proclaiming her belief for all to see or demanding attention. In fact, her act was purposefully clandestine, hidden, probably driven by her condition and maybe the shame associated with it.
Right, she would have wanted to draw attention to her uncleanness.
Exactly. The emphasis for Sadooli is entirely on its sincerity and purity, a faith unburdened by ulterior motives, by self-promotion, or a desire for recognition from others.
Just pure need and trust.
Pure need and pure trust. Sadooli argues that even a small, hidden faith, if it originates from the depths of the heart, with genuine trust, vulnerability, and utter desperation, can open the door for God's work.
So God sees the heart, not the show.
That's the idea. God, the author notes, responds to that broken heart and pure trust more than to any outward show, however impressive it might seem. And this perspective is incredibly empowering, I think, because it suggests accessibility. You don't need to be a spiritual giant or someone with a booming, outwardly expressed faith to experience this connection.
That's really encouraging.
It is. It's about the internal posture of your heart, the quiet conviction.
So how can we connect this to our own experiences, thinking about those quiet convictions?
Well, think about moments in your life where maybe a quiet personal conviction, a deep inner knowing, or maybe a desperate, heartfelt plea you didn't even voice out loud led to unexpected breakthroughs. Perhaps it was a situation where you felt utterly alone and simply held onto a quiet hope that things would somehow work out, despite all outward appearances and the logical reasons to despair.
Right, when logic says give up, but something inside doesn't.
Exactly. Or maybe it was a private moment of surrender when you admitted your limitations and placed a quiet yet firm trust in something beyond yourself. How does this challenge societal notions of big demonstrations of belief?
It really turns it on its head.
It highlights that true effective faith isn't about showmanship or public validation.
Hmm.
It's about the internal alignment of your heart with trust in a higher power.
Okay.
It's a reminder that genuine connection can happen in the most intimate, hidden spaces of our being. And this deeply personal connection, powered by authentic faith, it's not only for individual healing, Sadooli notes. It also extends to calming even the most tumultuous circumstances, whether they're external or internal.
That's a truly profound shift in perspective, that quiet, potent internal faith. And it leads us seamlessly into how Sadooli expands on this idea. This powerful presence of Jesus extends beyond just healing individuals. It reaches into calming even the most tumultuous circumstances around us.
Right, the bigger picture.
Yeah. We're now shifting to another facet of Jesus' miracles, his ability to bring calm amidst chaos. And what I find really interesting here, picking up on Sadooli's point, is that it's not always about removing the storm immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Not the instant fix necessarily.
Mm.
Right. Or making all your problems vanish in an instant. Sometimes, and perhaps more profoundly, it's about being present within it, about finding peace, even when the storm continues to rage around you. That feels incredibly relevant for our often chaotic lives today.
Absolutely. It speaks volumes. And Sadooli gives us powerful, specific examples of this. Think about Jesus walking on water in the midst of a fierce gale.
Yeah, terrifying for the disciples.
Terrifying, or perhaps even more vividly, calming the ferocious storm at sea, as recorded in Matthew's Gospel. The disciples, remember, these were seasoned fishermen. They knew the sea.
Right, they weren't amateurs. If they were scared, it was bad.
Exactly. They were terrified. Their boat was being swamped. They truly believed they were going to drown. They cried out to Jesus, who was asleep in the boat, in sheer despair.
Asleep in that storm.
Right. But Sadooli's key observation isn't just that Jesus had power over the elements, commanding the wind and waves to be still, which he did. It's what he said and did before that. He didn't immediately make the storm vanish. Instead, his message to the terrified disciples, to those gripped by fear, was often along the lines of, "Do not be afraid. I am here."
I am here. Simple, but powerful in context.
Immensely powerful. This simple statement carries a profound implication that Sadooli really wants us to grasp. He highlights that Jesus' presence itself is the source of peace, even when the external circumstances around us remain unsettled.
Ah, okay. So the peace isn't dependent on the storm stopping.
Exactly. The waves were still crashing, the wind was still howling, the boat was still being tossed about, but with him awakened the boat with his reassuring presence, their fear began to dissipate before the command to the waves. The peace came not from the immediate absence of trouble, but from the felt presence of the divine. Sadooli urges us to consider that this is not just a historical event, but a template for navigating our own storms.
A template. How so?
Well, the peace wasn't a result of the problem being solved instantly, but a direct consequence of Jesus' "I am here." It redefines where we look for peace.
So it's not about the instant fix, but about the profound comfort and strength that comes from a sense of divine companionship amidst the struggle. That's a huge distinction.
It is huge.
How does Sadooli broaden the scope of this calming power beyond just natural phenomena, like literal storms, bringing it into our everyday internal battles, our own anxieties and fears?
That's the critical application Sadooli draws for us. He argues, quite convincingly, I think, that this calming power isn't confined to natural phenomena like literal storms on a lake.
Right.
It extends dramatically to our deepest fears, those internal storms that rage within us, the gnawing anxiety about the future, maybe overwhelming stress from work or family.
Emotional turmoil from loss or conflict.
Exactly. Or moments of profound uncertainty and self-doubt. Sadooli suggests that even when your life feels like it's being tossed about by powerful, uncontrollable forces, perhaps a health crisis, an economic downturn, or a sudden relational upheaval,
Yeah, life happens.
the awareness of a divine presence, that quiet inner sense of "I am here," can bring a profound inner calm that is actually independent of those external circumstances changing immediately.
So the circumstances might still be chaotic, but your inner state can shift.
Precisely. It doesn't mean the problems disappear overnight, but your experience of them and your capacity to navigate them is transformed. You find a different kind of strength.
An inner resilience.
Yes. To connect this to your own life, maybe reflect on a time when you felt utterly overwhelmed by circumstances. Perhaps a challenging period at work where layoffs loomed, or a family crisis that seemed impossible to resolve, or maybe a personal health scare that brought immense fear. Amidst that chaos, did you find an unexpected source of inner strength? A quiet resilience? Or maybe just a sense of peace that wasn't dependent on the external situation magically improving?
It's interesting to think back, maybe moments you didn't label that way at the time.
Right. Sadooli would suggest that's often a touch of heaven, the presence of the divine working within you, anchoring you when everything else feels adrift.
An anchor, I like that metaphor.
It transforms how we approach difficulties, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Shifting the focus from simply wishing problems away, which often doesn't work, to cultivating an inner sanctuary of peace, knowing that presence is available even in the eye of the storm.
Wow.
It's about realizing that you don't have to wait for the waves to cease to find calm. And this understanding, this presence, even amidst turmoil, it really prepares us for Sadooly's ultimate demonstration of Jesus' power. His power over even the most profound fear, death itself.
That's an incredible thought, finding peace in the storm, being anchored when everything else is adrift. And from there, as you said, the author moves us to the pinnacle of Jesus' miraculous power, the conquest of death itself.
The ultimate frontier.
Right. This is confronting the final frontier of human experience, the uncertainty we all face, the source of perhaps our deepest fear and grief. So, what does this ultimate triumph, this power over death, mean for your understanding of hope and eternity, especially when loss touches your own life? It's a question that resonates deeply with everyone, I think.
Indeed, it's universal. As Sadooli presents the raising of Lazarus, vividly recounted in John's Gospel, as the most striking and profound example for this ultimate triumph.
Lazarus. Yeah, that story is something else.
It really is. And Sadooli points out, this wasn't a spontaneous healing of a recent illness, nor was it, a quick recovery from fainting or something similar.
No, the text is specific, isn't it?
Very specific. Recall the dramatic detail. Lazarus, the brother of Mary and Martha, whom Jesus loved, had been dead for several days.
4 days, I think.
4 days. His body was already in the tomb, and Martha explicitly tells Jesus, by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days.
Yeah, that detail is grim but important. It removes any ambiguity.
Completely. This was a clear, undeniable sign that life had completely departed. Decomposition had begun. There was no medical explanation possible for recovery. His sisters were grieving deeply. And even in their faith, they struggled with the finality of the situation. They both essentially say, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. There's faith mixed with regret and maybe even a hint of reproach.
Understandable grief. The scene is set for absolute hopelessness from a purely human perspective.
Totally. But it's in this moment of utter finality, faced with grief and the stench of death, that Jesus makes his profound declaration, I am the resurrection and the life.
This is such a powerful statement.
Astonishing. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And then in this incredible display of sovereign authority, he stands before the tomb and calls out with a loud voice, Lazarus, come out!
And he does.
And Lazarus emerges, still wrapped in grave clothes. Sadooli considers this moment the peak of power over death, the ultimate display of Jesus' authority, not just over illness or natural elements, but over life and death themselves.
Peak power.
Yes, this miracle isn't simply a reanimation, like bringing someone back who had just died. Given the 4 days, Sadooli sees it as a profound, categorical declaration of power over what humans consider the absolute end. It's a tangible, undeniable preview of an ultimate victory over death itself, offering a glimpse into a reality beyond our current understanding. It becomes a cornerstone for the Christian hope of resurrection.
That's an astonishing claim, a power that really defies all human understanding and experience. So how does Sadooli connect this singular historical event to us, the listener, today? What's the takeaway for those of us who grapple with loss or, the inevitable reality of our own mortality?
That's the crucial link Sadooli makes.
Yeah.
He makes it abundantly clear that this isn't just a historical event to be read about as some curious historical footnote. It speaks directly to the ultimate hope available for humanity, challenging our deepest fears about mortality.
Okay, so how does it speak to us?
For you, the listener, in moments of grief, when you confront the loss of a loved one, or when you grapple with the fragility of life and your own inevitable mortality, this narrative, according to Sadooli, provides a foundational perspective.
A perspective on loss and the future.
Yes, one that transcends human understanding and natural limitations. It offers a framework for hope that extends beyond the visible and tangible. It confronts the finality of death, not with empty platitudes or wishful thinking, but with a demonstrated promise of new life.
So not just words, but an action demonstrating that power.
Exactly. not just a philosophical concept, but presented as a demonstrated reality in Lazarus. This miracle serves as a cornerstone for faith in a future beyond what we can currently comprehend,
Mm.
offering profound comfort and assurance in a world where death often feels like the ultimate unconquerable adversary. It suggests that even in the face of what seems utterly irreversible, there is a source of life that has the final word.
The final word.
Okay.
But what then was the true motivation behind all these incredible acts? The healing, the provision, the calming of storms, and this ultimate conquest of death. Sadooli gives us the core answer, you said.
He does. And it's perhaps the most important piece of his analysis.
And this brings us to what I believe is the most crucial and perhaps most tender insight from Sadooli's chapter, the motive behind Jesus' miracles.
Yes, the why.
Exactly. We've just explored incredible displays of power over hunger, over sickness, over nature, and even over death itself. It's staggering. But the author challenges us to look beyond just the raw demonstration of divine capability.
Mm-hmm.
What I find truly compelling here is that he argues it wasn't merely to demonstrate divine power, to show off or impress or demand submission. It was something far deeper, far more profound, and ultimately far more personal. So, expert, what does Sadooli identify as the singular driving force behind all these wonders?
You've absolutely hit on the very heart of Sadooly's argument. His overarching conclusion, after meticulously examining each of these wonders, is that they were primarily, fundamentally, and unequivocally a manifestation of God's infinite love.
Infinite love, not just power.
Not just power for power's sake. They weren't arbitrary acts of might or cold demonstrations of authority. They were, as Sadooli beautifully puts it, words in God's language of love.
Words in God's language of love. That's a beautiful phrase.
Isn't it? Every miracle, every touch, every command was a communication, a message delivered through action, revealing the very core character and heart of the divine. It was God's love made tangible, visible, and utterly undeniable.
Okay, can you break that down a bit? How did specific miracles show this love?
Sure. Let's elaborate on how God's infinite love is expressed through these miracles, as Sadooli outlines it, connecting back to the specific examples we've discussed. First, in our suffering. Sadooli shows that the miracles declare God is with us in our suffering. He doesn't abandon us in our pain, but steps directly into our struggles, identifying with our humanity.
So presence in the suffering.
Yes. Think of the hungry crowds. Jesus didn't just teach them from a distance. He fed them. The woman with the hemorrhage was not just healed physically, but acknowledged publicly and restored to dignity. This is a God who enters into our pain rather than observing it from afar. Love as presence.
Okay, makes sense. What's next?
Second, in our pain, both physical and emotional, these acts show that he heals us. His touch brought restoration, wholeness, and relief. And crucially, Sadooli notes, it often extended beyond the physical ailment to restore dignity, community, and hope.
Right, like the woman being considered clean again.
Exactly. It wasn't just about mending a body, it was about mending a life, a spirit, a broken social connection. The woman's healing was physical, yes, but also profoundly social and spiritual. Love as restoration.
Okay, suffering, pain. What else?
Third, when we are filled with doubt and uncertainty, experiencing those internal storms we talked about, the miracles demonstrate that he shines light on our path. His presence dispels fear and confusion, guiding us through our darkest moments.
Like in the boat during the storm.
Precisely. Remember the terrified disciples in the boat? His presence brought calm before the storm even fully abated. This is a love that provides clarity and courage when we're lost in confusion. Love as guidance and peace.
And the last one, death.
And finally, yes, when we confront death, the ultimate human fear and loss. These miracles, particularly Lazarus' resurrection, unequivocally state that he is the hope for new life. He offers a promise that extends beyond the grave.
So love confronting even the ultimate end.
Yes, transforming our understanding of mortality from a final, terrifying end to a transition towards new life. This is a love that conquers even our ultimate adversary. Love is ultimate hope.
Wow. Suffering, pain, doubt, death, love expressed through action in all those areas.
Exactly. So synthesizing this message for you, the listener, Sadooli's perspective really redefines how we might perceive divine intervention. It's not arbitrary power wielded at random or for grand spectacle.
No.
But rather it is intentional, compassionate care, deeply personal and profoundly loving, directed specifically towards you and your deepest, most human needs.
That makes it feel very different. Very personal.
It does. The miracles become this beautiful, tangible demonstration that God is not a distant, indifferent ruler, but a loving presence deeply invested in your holistic well-being, physical, emotional, and spiritual.
Okay.
And this foundational understanding that love is the driving force brings us right to the chapter's overarching message about the enduring nature of this love and power.
That's a truly transformative way to look at the miracles, not just as acts of immense power, but as profound, active expressions of infinite love. It really reshapes the entire narrative for me.
Me too. It's central to his argument.
And from there, the chapter brings us back to a foundational, timeless statement that resonates deeply throughout the text, and it's a familiar one. Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Hebrews 13.8, yeah.
Well,
Cornerstone verse.
right. And Sadooli emphasizes this isn't just some abstract theological pronouncement. It's presented as a living reality, grounded firmly in the present moment. So, expert, what does this profound, unchanging truth mean for your present-day experience? How does an ancient truth apply to your modern life with all its unique challenges, complexities, and maybe moments of quiet desperation or joy?
Well, Sadooli is emphatic on this point. The direct and powerful implication from this profound statement that Jesus is unchanging, eternally consistent, is that the very same love, the very same power witnessed in those miracles 2 millennia ago
Okay.
is still available. It is still accessible to you today, right now.
Wow. So not just a historical record, but a current reality.
Exactly. This isn't a power that is somehow diminished over time or become less potent or receded into the pages of history. It's presented as an enduring, constant reality that Sadooli believes is as active now as it was then.
Okay.
This is where he truly makes the miracles applicable to your life. The question isn't if God acts, but maybe how we perceive and engage with that action today. Are we looking for it?
That puts the onus back on us, in a way.
In part, yes. And this reiterates and reinforces the key principles we've explored throughout this deep dive, bringing them squarely into your present moment. God, Sadooli asserts, still responds to pure faith no matter how small.
Back to the woman with the hemorrhage.
Precisely. Remember her quiet, sincere trust, born of desperation and deep conviction, how that opened the door for immediate healing. Sadooli argues that same principle of profound sincerity and trust holds true now.
So it's still not about grand gestures.
No, not about public declarations, but about the genuine posture and conviction of your heart, even when it feels fragile or overwhelmed. Sadooli suggests that this accessible faith is key to experiencing divine intervention today.
Okay, so if we were to synthesize Sadooli's whole perspective from this chapter, kind of boil it down for the listener.
Yeah, let's try. It's a powerful and coherent message designed specifically for you, the listener, living your life right now.
Okay.
First, God is not indifferent or distant. He is profoundly active and present in our lives, deeply engaged in our daily realities, both our spiritual longings and our tangible, practical needs. He's not just up there, Sadooli shows us. He's intimately down here with you in every circumstance.
Active and present. Got it.
Second, your sincere faith, regardless of how small or imperfect it might feel to you, can powerfully connect you to his power, opening the door for his work and transformation in your life. Remember, it's the quality, the sincerity, not the quantity, that truly matters.
Sincere faith connects us.
Right. Third, his presence brings a deep, abiding peace, even in the midst of life's most challenging difficulties and internal storms. You don't need the storm to vanish for peace to be found. Sadooli teaches that his presence itself is the calm, your anchor in the chaos.
Peace in the midst of it all. Okay.
And finally, the ultimate motivation for all of this, for every miracle, every intervention, every act of comfort and healing is God's profound, unchanging, and infinite love for you. It is the very language he speaks, a language of active compassion and relentless care. Love is the why.
Active, present, connected by faith, bringing peace, all motivated by love. That's quite a picture.
It is. And this comprehensive overview of Chapter 7 leaves us with a truly crucial and deeply personal question posed directly by the author, a question for you to ponder and take into your own experience, inviting you into a new way of seeing. Hashtag tag outro.
That's a powerful summary, expert, bringing all those threads together so clearly. And it truly leaves us with the really important question that Sadooli wants us to sit with, doesn't it? A profound query derived directly from the chapter's central message.
The takeaway challenge.
Yeah. Given that the text so clearly says Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever, how can you specifically seek, or perhaps better, actively recognize that touch of heaven, that active and loving presence of God in your own everyday life today?
Right. Not just look back, but look around. today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perhaps in ways you hadn't considered before, maybe in moments you previously dismissed as just coincidence or good luck or simply ordinary.
Hmm.
It's an invitation to shift your perspective, isn't it? To look for the divine, not just in the extraordinary and traumatic, but maybe in the ordinary moments, the small provisions, the quiet comforts, the unexpected strengths that get you through a tough day, the deep convictions that shape your choices.
Seeing the miraculous in the mundane, perhaps.
Yeah. This isn't just an intellectual exercise or some historical retrospective. Sadooli presents it as an invitation to a different, more connected way of experiencing your world right here, right now. A challenge to see with new eyes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in closing, just echoing Sadooli's own heartfelt sentiment from his writing, just as God is transforming my life, I'm sure he's touching yours too. It's a statement of ongoing faith and shared experience. So until the next deep dive, we encourage you, drawing directly from the author's concluding remarks, stay rooted in his word, walk with the Holy Spirit, and build with faith.
Filled with faith.
Yes, as Sadooli himself concludes, in the name of Jesus Christ, stay strong and shine bright.